Welcome everyone to our first podcast or Google Hangout here at CoachSeeker. My name is Mike Jennings. I'm here with Jeremy Failing, and we're the owners of CoachSeeker.com. And for those of you who aren't familiar, it's a website that connects fitness coaches with athletes. And we're here today with mental game coach Greg Liberto, the head coach, who specializes in an area of competition that's often overlooked, which is mental preparation before competitions. And we see that athletes pretty frequently spend a lot of time training for their competitions, but then aren't in the best mental state on competition day. And it's a really important aspect because no matter how much training you do beforehand, if you're not in the right mindset, if you're not focused, all of that time can be underutilized. So Greg specializes in this area of coaching. And can you go ahead and talk a little bit more about mind game coaching and how you got into the field?
Sure. Yeah, and thanks for having me on the call, guys. I appreciate the opportunity. And my path has been a little sidewinding, so to speak. And it started about 20 years ago in human development and corporate training. And about 6 years ago, I knew that I needed a niche. I knew that I needed to focus in an area where I could take all of what I had learned and amassed in terms of human development, and I brought it into the golf industry. And for the past 6 years, I've been working with golfers at all different levels in terms of helping them improve their focus and their ability to perform. And we all refer to it as mental game coaching and training, but what I like to refer to it is really more of the communication game, because it's all about how you communicate both internally and then outwardly that impacts how you perform and how you think. And, a lot of athletes show up to practice unprepared, and they show up to competition unprepared because they don't really have a process to get there. So that's one of the things that I'd like to talk about today is coming up with the mental game strategy and then having a process in place that's the same every time you practice and every time you compete.
Okay, awesome. And before we go into that strategy, I know this focus and mental preparation. You mentioned that you work with golfers, but I know that this is an important part of every other sport as well, and even everyday life. So could you talk, or at least comment a little bit on how people can use this no matter what sport they're into, or even if they just want to improve focus in a different aspect of their life?
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question. And there's a couple different ways to approach that. But if you think about anything that you enter, whether it's an exam at school or a relationship or maybe starting a business, you really need to have a clear understanding of what it is that you want. So to connect with whatever it is that you're trying to improve at, whether it's academics or sports or life, you need to really understand what it is that you want from those specific areas of your life. And one of the best ways that I help my students get there, my athletes and students get there, is to have some kind of a strategy. And if you're going into competition unprepared up here, it's going to impact you when you fall into those battles, whether trying to push a little bit more weight or trying to outrun your opponent or just take control of your own mind in a certain scenario. So having a mental game strategy is going to have you connected every time you practice and every time you play. And really the best way that I like to compare it, or the best thing I like to compare it to, is going into battle. Think about a military outfit that's going into battle. You have your guys coming in from the air, you have your guys coming in on the ground. Everybody knows tactically what they're supposed to do. Now take all of that, and everybody's prepared individually, but they really don't have a cause, or they really don't know what they're fighting for. Okay, so now everybody is trained physically, but they don't really have the proper mindset to move forward. Okay, now if you take that tactical and physical training and you incorporate a mental game strategy, or just a high-level thought process of, hey, I know exactly what we're trying to achieve here, to capture the enemy. Okay, so if everybody that is coming in from here or here or here has the same high-level thought process or the same strategy of capture the enemy, everybody knows individually what they need to do, but as a unit, you're all working towards something greater. So from a team perspective, having a strategy for yourself is very important. But now imagine everybody else on that particular team taking their awareness of what they're trying to do individually and take it to the next level. Imagine what that can do for the team as a whole. So having a strategy when you practice, having a strategy when you compete is what I teach. But what I also practice is having a strategy in my life every single week. Okay, so every Sunday of every week, I know exactly what my high-level thought process or strategy is going into the week. Okay, so let's just talk about a real quick example here. Let's say going into a week at school. You know you have a lot of things on your mind. You have exams coming up. You have practice that you need to be concerned about. You're juggling. Maybe you have a job outside of that, so you're juggling your practice sessions and your exams and your study, all of your academics, and then you have to juggle all of your work and the issues with the people at work. So you have all these different components of activity that are going on in your life, and it can feel like, you know, things can spiral out of control if you allow them to. Okay, so if you're just going through the motions every single week, yes, you're getting better and you're improving. You can feel that and you can sense all of that. But now imagine having a strategy for the entire week, just a high-level thought process that you can put into place that's going to have you more focused, more calm, more organized, more relaxed. Okay, so when you're getting into the thick of it in those battles where you're getting really upset or you don't feel it, you're not motivated to go to practice, or you're at work and work is crazy busy, if you don't have anything to fall back on to calm you down and keep you focused, it's like winging it, basically. So having a strategy that you can put in play on Sunday that's going to last until the following Saturday, every single day through the thick and thin of the week, is game changing. Okay, so if you're feeling really stressed out going into this week because of all this activity you have, and I know this sounds really, really elementary, let's just say that your strategy for the week is stay calm. Okay, now you might think, oh yeah, I've heard that before. It's like stay positive. Maybe it is, but imagine if every time you get really upset, or every time you don't feel like going to practice, or every time that something was bad at work, or maybe didn't score well on that exam, or maybe you're studying for the exam and you're feeling all stressed out, and you just all of a sudden say to yourself, hey, stay calm. Stay calm. You know this material. You have time to prepare for it. You are preparing for it. You're doing the best that you can do. Stay calm. So it's almost as if you're coaching yourself, and that's why I refer to it, to my golfers or any athlete that I work with. When you're in competition, especially golfers, they say all the time, "Oh, geez, I wish I could have had my coach with me out on the course today." Well, this is like having your own coach in your back pocket, because it's that safety net of that foundation that you can constantly refer back to. Now imagine having that coach in your back pocket every single day of every month of the year. A strategy is by far the most powerful concept that can apply it to absolutely everything.
That's great, and I know as college students ourselves, I can very easily see how that would be beneficial. Like you mentioned, like even outside the context of sports and competition. And with that process that you described, where on Sunday you lay out your goal for the week so you can keep on track. Is there like a step-by-step process that you go through in order to develop those weekly goals and get yourself started, so that our listeners can hopefully take away that step-by-step process and implement it themselves?
Yep, excellent question, Mike. And yes, it starts with, okay, what is most important to me this week, or what do I really need to focus on? Or just really simply, you can say to yourself, what do I need to do to make this the best week of my life? Okay, so that would be step one, is what do you want from this week? Do you need to get focused? Do you need to reduce your stress level? Or you just really need to focus on just becoming better or performing better? Okay, so that's step one. And then as you start to go through in step two and answer some of those questions, you really have to, I know this sounds kind of crazy, but you have to talk it out. You have to basically be able to, think of hiring yourself as your own coach. And I know everybody, thinks this is weird, but when you physically start to have a conversation with you, it's amazing. It's amazing what you can discover, and it's totally different. I do a lot of quote unquote meditation. I call it focused thought time because meditation scares people. It's just sitting, thinking about things. I do that regularly. It's very calming. But now imagine taking all of those thoughts and actually saying to yourself, okay, Mike, yeah, you do have a really busy week this week, and what do you need to do to become more focused, or what do you need to do to become more relaxed, or what do you need to do to become more organized? So it's really just talking it out and working yourself through it. And sometimes it can take a minute, sometimes it can take 20 minutes, sometimes I go back to it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day. Because I'm not just going to put a strategy into place for the sake of putting a strategy into place. I'm putting something into place that's going to really resonate with me, really catch my attention, and really have an impact. So, and a lot of times you'll put strategies into play and they'll have a dual meaning to it. So this week, my strategy is breakthrough. I'm so close with what I've been doing to breaking through to some really significant things in a lot of different ways with my business. And having this mindset this week of breakthrough has allowed me to, and what's today, Wednesday? It's allowed me to have multiple different opportunities throughout these last 4 days to help me figure out what that breakthrough needs to be. But it's also really helped to just think about and recognize that I'm getting so close to what I want. So a lot of times you'll find that this strategy has a lot of meaning in a lot of different ways, and what also happens from it as a major fringe benefit is you start to incorporate some of these really good habits into your life and disciplines into your life as a result of it. So if your strategy this week is breakthrough, and last week it was stay calm, and next week it's going to be fast action, now what you do is you start to incorporate these mindsets or these disciplines into your life on a continuing ongoing basis. And if you can continue to get better 1% at a time, or just a little bit every single day, 365 days later and 3 years later, you're a different person.
Definitely. I know I'm excited to use that process. I'll be doing that on Sunday for sure. And I know one other thing that you had mentioned when we were talking before, an obstacle that can get in the way of fulfilling that process is negative self-talk or negative thoughts. And I remember you mentioned that you had a specific strategy to deal with some negative thoughts and how people can implement that. So can you discuss that a little bit as well?
Perfect dovetail, Mike, into talking about strategy. And yeah, I talk about my 3-step solution to stop the ants or the automatic negative thoughts. Nearly 90% of our thought process is negative, and it occurs automatically. And if you think about the fact that you can only have one thought at a time, and you're outnumbered not 9 to 1, okay, so there's 9 negative thoughts against 1 positive thought. Now imagine saying, okay, let me take that 1 and turn it into 2, and I'm going to reduce my negative thoughts down to 8. Or imagine if I had 3 positive thoughts and I reduced my negative energy down to 7. Think about the fact that you are outnumbered. It's like you have a colony of ants in your head and they're outnumbering you 9 to 1. Okay, so these ants or these automatic negative thoughts are wreaking havoc in your life. You need to have a solution to stop them. Go into your week with a strategy, okay? But you also need to recognize what I call your ant traps. So what are those common areas throughout the week where you know you're going to have an automatic negative thought? Oh, geez, well, it's exam week. I hate exams. So right away, the ants are flying, and I hate exams. Okay? So that's a trap for you. That's all it is. It's just a trap. Now, if you go into your week and you say, hey, I know that that's a trap, you're going to be on high alert for that, and you're going to say, no, you know what? Exams are okay. This is actually, now I'm going to actually embrace the fact that it is an exam opportunity. This is my benchmark. This is my opportunity to prove to myself that I'm prepared, I studied, I know the material, and I'm going to perform, treat your exam like a mini competition now. Now all of a sudden it's not this dreadful, hated process of learning. Now it's, hey, you know what? Let me think of let me transform my thought process around exams to I love taking it. Whoa, I mean, imagine that. Imagine just that. I hate taking exams. I love taking exams. If you love something, you're probably going to be more prepared and you're going to have more positive energy entering into it, right? So now all of a sudden, if you take that ant trap and turn it into a strength, that's just by identifying it. But let's say you do get into that exam and all that's forgotten, and you say, oh yeah, this exam, I'm doing terribly. No, that's a trap. So you need to, step one is being aware of it. So you need to be aware of your ant traps, number one. Step two, you need to stop and blow the whistle. You need to physically stop moving, stop your thought process, and basically transform that negative thought into a positive one. And the way that you do that is you replace that negative thought with your strategy thought for the week. Okay, so if my strategy thought for the week is stay calm, I just went from feeling kind of stressed out and anxious and frustrated about this exam to stop, stay calm, stay calm, stay calm, stay calm. It changes your physiology like that. Okay, really, really powerful concept. But now, if you, as opposed to just having that strategy and forgetting about it all the time, now being aware of your ant traps, you can proactively start to anticipate when you're going to have that negative thought. So not only are you going to be better at recognizing it, but it's going to be a lot easier to stop it and replace it with a strategy thought.
Yeah, that's great, Greg. I really do like that idea of really focusing on the positives. And I know last time that we talked, you talked about focusing on 3 positives after maybe you've had a competition or a meet or practice, or even just at the end of your day. Can you expand a little bit more on that idea?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, Jeremy. Actually, and it's very important. And it's one of these things. Oh yeah, just focus on the positives. Well, yeah. You know what? You should focus on the positives in your life because we're all here for a very finite amount of time, however long that might be, and why not enjoy the most out of every situation? So let's say you're in a competitive event, and you just bomb. You just bomb. Okay, at whatever it was, whether it's golf or powerlifting or volleyball, or it doesn't matter what sport you're in. It's totally irrelevant. You have to first off be thankful for the fact that you're alive and you're able to compete. I mean, there's a lot of people in this world who are a lot less fortunate than each of us right here. We have the ability to go out on our own accord and do whatever we can do. We're all healthy, and we should be very fortunate for that. So let's just keep it really, really simple and just be thankful for the fact that I was able to compete today. Number two, just saying to yourself, hey, you know what? As opposed to focusing on every single thing that went wrong today, let me think of one thing that went well today. Okay, well, let's just say for my golfers, oh, you know what? I shot the worst round of my life today. But you know what? I had that one drive on the 15th hole that was amazing. It was amazing. Probably the best drive of the year. Okay? So it's just one positive facet, one positive component from the event. And number three is just to say to yourself, again, just thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to do what I do. We overlook the fact that we are so blessed that we have this great opportunity in front of us if we are alive and healthy. So you just have to be very appreciative of what you have. And you don't need to look a whole lot further than the fact that you are alive and you are able to compete and not get so caught up in every single thing else, like your opponent, like the situation, like the match, like what your teammate did, what your coach said. All the things, all those ant traps that you fall into, they can just kill your whole mindset. And as a result, have you thinking way too subjectively about how you perform. Okay, so that's really, I think, the biggest advantage of focusing on the 3 positives is, hey, you know what? Let me just take out all of the subjectivity and emotions of what happened today, and let me just focus on what I'm thankful for and what went well, and that's it. And then I'll start to look at, okay, where do I need to improve? what did not go the way that I planned today, and what do I need to do moving forward to get. It's it's really that simple. So focusing on the positives, I think, besides enhancing your self-image and looking better in front of your teammates or your competition or your coach, whoever it might be, it gives you the ability to think objectively about how you perform.
Definitely. So now that you've talked about preparing the strategy on Sunday to keep yourself focused for the week, you've talked about conquering the ants, the automatic negative thoughts, and you've talked about focusing on positives after competition. Are there any other components of mind or mental game coaching or mental game strategy that you'd like to touch on before we go ahead and wrap up today?
Yeah, I think two things quick, Mike, is the concept that I teach my golfers in terms of a pre-shot routine or having a process before every shot is called 100% ready. And 100% ready is just a great mindset to have in life. Again, if you're going out on a blind date tonight, okay, well, I want to make sure I'm prepared, so I want to make sure that I feel 100% ready. I have a strategy for how I'm going to communicate with this person. Or if you're going into the biggest competitive event of your life, I would hope that you want to be 100% ready as opposed to, yeah, you know what, I'm here and I feel pretty good about my game, but it could be better. Okay, but I'm feeling kind of nervous and tense. I'm starting to think about my opponent way too much, or the environment that I'm in. There's 10,000 fans here, and I'm getting freaked out about the fans a little bit. No, you want to be 100% ready, and the way that you do that is they have a strategy. So I'm not going to get into the process of going through what I teach my golfers to be 100% ready, but I think it's just a really good mindset to have. And I'll just leave you guys with this with a really simple focus tip that can help anybody. And the concept that I teach my golfers is really simple. It's just hit your target. Okay, golfers think about everything except their target. They think about the trees, or they think about the water, or they think about how poorly they played in this course the last time, or they think about an email that came earlier today that really upset them, or maybe the pain in their neck, whatever. Okay, so the real simple concept is just hit your target. And one of the things that every athlete needs to do is improve their ability to focus on hitting their target, whatever it might be. So the real simple focus tip that I teach is, I call it 5 seconds of focus. And all it is just taking an object in the room or wherever you are and just stare at it, okay, for 5 seconds. So let me just grab my phone here, okay. So let's see I don't know if you can see this here, but yes. So let's just say on my phone, you can see my screen, okay, whatever you see. Don't just use the phone as the object. Take a very specific. Come on, there we go. So just take a very specific spot on my screen now that you want to focus on. Okay, so it's not just, oh yeah, I'm just going to use this device. No, take a pinpoint spot on that object that you want to focus on, and then stare at it for 5 seconds. Okay. Use something that's obviously not moving, but just stare at it and lock in on that pinpoint spot for 5 seconds. And see how well you can do without being distracted by any other rooms or noises in the room, or maybe in your house or the building that you're in, or maybe if you're outside in a park. See how well you can do to block out all of those distractions. Okay? Every athlete needs to improve their focus ability. And the cool part about this is you can do this throughout the day, every single day, wherever you are. And what you want to do, what it's designed to do is help you really associate with that feeling of being in the zone. Because every athlete says, well, you know what, I was in the zone today, but I couldn't recapture it the next day. Okay, so this is your ability to improve this is an opportunity to improve your focus ability and really feel that intense feeling of what it's like to be in the zone. Very calm, very focused, very confident. Okay, so it's something that you want to improve, practice constantly. It takes discipline, but it's like talking yourself through a coaching process. It takes discipline to do that as well. It takes you out of your comfort zone or puts you in your discomfort zone. So increasing your ability or improving your ability to focus is going to make any athlete better.
Great. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up now that you've given everyone several very tangible strategies and tactics that they can use like you said, to not just improve their performance at their sports, but also even any aspect of their life that they need to focus on. And I know that these strategies can be hard to implement on your own. So can you go ahead and give our listeners your contact information or your website so they have a way to get a hold of you if they would be interested in having you coach them on how to perform better and focus better?
Sure, Mike. Yeah, and thank you for the opportunity to do so. My email address is greg@theheadcoach.us, so it's GREG at theheadcoach.us, and I'm offering video-based, just like this, video-based coaching sessions for $1 per minute. So if anybody's interested in, testing the waters with the mental game coach, this is about as affordable of an opportunity to do so that I think is out there anywhere. And I would just like to leave everybody with I guess, just the mindset that the mental game is intimidating to a lot of people. I had to overcome a crippling fear of public speaking, and I carried it with me through the majority of my life. It was very, very painful, and I was so intimidated by good speakers and this organization called Toastmasters that eventually allowed me to overcome my fear of it, that it was crippling. And I think a lot of people think about the game the same way. It's just so intimidating to people because maybe they're not good at it. But if you just strip the word mental game out of it completely, you just think of it as a communication game. Now you can say, hey, you know what? All I really need to do is improve my communication internally and how I speak, because that's really all it is. Sure, it takes a lot of effort and discipline and learning to get there, but I just want to, like I said, I want to just give everybody the opportunity to just really shift their thought process in terms of how they think about this very important intangible aspect of life and in sports, and just really think about what do I need to do to become the best communicator I can become.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for that. And in addition, you were talking earlier about those ants, and you actually have a book about the ants, correct? About how to kind of conquer those. Did you want to talk about that for a second?
Sure. Yeah, my 18 holes book is on Amazon. It's how to stop the ants from stealing your game, and it's 18 chapters. It's $18, and it's literally about an 18-minute read. It's the fastest way to improve your communication game. I've read a lot of books in and around this area for both golf and other sports, and just in life in general. And I think the biggest advantage that I have is in not being a PhD or a PGA teaching professional is I had to figure all this stuff out for myself. So, how I talk in the book and the people that I talk about in the book is basically the exact same way that I used to think. So I had to, I went through a lot of these challenges that every other athlete and golfer goes through. So I can sympathize and empathize with every other athlete out there because I was my own worst enemy, and it took me years to amass this knowledge. And I wanted to give people a tangible, expedient way to improve the way that they think about golf. But every chapter in that book applies to life as well. So 18 holes on Amazon, $18, 18-minute read. It's the fastest way to improve the way you think about golf.
Awesome. I know I'm excited to read that book and also for the rest of the strategies you outlined. So thanks, everyone, for listening in on our first podcast here. Hopefully you found it as motivating and exciting as I did. Again, very excited to read the book and implement these strategies. So if you'd like us to continue doing these podcasts and keep putting out information for you, we'd appreciate any feedback you have or topics that you'd like to hear. You can go ahead and contact us either at any of our social media pages, so our Facebook or Twitter, or you can go to CoachSeeker.com and go to the Contact Us page and leave us a message there. But we appreciate you all listening, and thank you again, Greg, for coming on the podcast and informing us more about mental game coaching.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.